We were returning from a delicious dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant. Tori had drunk a little more than usual. We'd been married for 5 years, and things had gotten a little strained at times. It had been a week since we'd last had sex. It's been over a few months since we made love. I can't figure out what's come between us. I hope we make love again tonight and get back on the rails. I pushed the garage door opener button but got nothing. When I got out of the car, the motion-responsive porch light should have illuminated the area. Some kind of power outage? Not really, as all of our neighbors were well lit. Using my cell phone as a flashlight, I walked to the front door. It was slightly ajar. I could not detect any damage on the door or frame. "Our front door is open." Did we forget to close it before we left? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I locked it after I got the mail. Besides, I know I activated the security system when we left. She wouldn't have let me do that if the door or window had been open. Looking at my phone, I found that there were no messages from the security company. I usually get an alert when our power goes out, so I don't know why I wasn't notified. Tori yelled to me from the car, "John, we should call the police. If someone broke into the house, they might still be there." Not wanting to be a hero, I let Tori call the police. 10 minutes later, 2 patrol cars arrived. The officers nonchalantly left their cars. After Tori and I introduced ourselves, Officer Wes Unger backed us up and Officer Vic Stearns entered the house. A few minutes later, the lights came on in the house, and Vic came out of the house. He said the breakers in the electrical box had tripped. "Looks like you've been robbed." "Why don't I walk you through the house until Wes does the same to your wife?" The insurance company always says to make lists and take pictures and update records. I didn't do any of that. My security system was supposed to protect me from theft. Vic and I looked at the control panel and found that the system had been put into sleep mode. Whoever had gotten into the house knew my code and knew how to deactivate the entire system. "Let's go to the garage and talk." After 15 minutes of asking who had a grudge or revenge on me, Vic and Wes decided to switch places. For the next 15 minutes, Wes asked pretty much the same questions Vic did. And I guess these guys run into this sort of thing all the time, as they were having a lot of fun as they left the scene. They took our statements and a few dozen pictures, and considering there were fingerprints on the doors, force plate, and security system, I felt like I was on a crime TV show. My stomach cramped at the thought of what might be missing. When the officers left, Tori stated that the robbery made her feel dirty and she was going to take a shower. While she was in the bathroom, I checked all the rooms trying to find anything missing, and found nothing. Granted, I'm not completely familiar with everything we own, but the basic stuff was still here. Had we thwarted them before they could trick us? Could it be that we got lucky? That night of passion we had hoped for never materialized. It was impossible to get over the feeling of being insulted. Tori decided that several boxes of unused checks were missing, so we went to the bank. Starting a new checking account was agonizing, but the possibility of emptying the bank account was a little comforting. We didn't have sex for another week. Tori claimed she didn't feel safe and was having a hard time being passionate. It sucked, but she was right. 4 weeks after the robbery, it happened again. Our town is small enough that the same 2 officers showed up for the call. Not surprising since it was the same day of the week and the same time of day. The only difference this time was that Wes questioned me first. This time he asked questions, including wanting to know what insurance claims I had filed. He definitely hinted that he had to rule out the possibility of insurance fraud. Just like the first time, each officer spent 15 minutes with me and 15 minutes with Tori. Tori again stated that the robbery made her feel dirty and headed for the shower. The officers smirked at that remark, then said goodbye to me and left. This security system is worthless. After I complained to them, they walked me through the steps to reprogram the access code. So here I am again, with the police looking for fingerprints and taking dozens of pictures. Once again, I couldn't find anything missing. Yes, drawers were open, things were scattered, but my cameras were still here, computers untouched, and they hadn't taken any of Tori's jewelry. My delirium detector flashed. There was something suspicious about these break-ins. Rather than risk surveillance cameras that required AC power, I opted for battery-powered cameras. It was cheaper to buy a whole pack. While Tori went shopping, I installed one at each of the 3 entrances, then one in my office and in the dining room where our safe was located. The last one in the bedroom, positioned so he could keep an eye on Tori's jewelry, and in the closet where my guns were kept. The batteries wouldn't go dead until the chamber's supply was exhausted. Now I hoped we'd be broken into again. Tori's attitude toward me had changed to a more arrogant one, like she was accusing me of breaking and entering, like she thought she was smarter than me. Maybe so, but this isn't some fucking competition. We're married. I analyzed all my personal connections. There wasn't one person who stood out. No one raised suspicions. Tori claimed the same thing. No one crossed her mind either. 2 weeks after the last break-in, we went out to dinner, but when we got home, everything was fine. I still changed the access code to the security system every few days. I even turned it on without entering the code just to see if it still worked. Apparently it did, as I was inundated with messages and calls from the security company. Instead of going out to dinner Saturday night, I talked Tori into doing it Friday night. Break-in number 3 happened while we were eating dinner. Wes and Vic responded to it. They didn't treat me too kindly. Suddenly I was prime candidate number 1. I was going to tell them about my cameras, but given their attitude, screw it. I'll look at them after Tori goes to bed. Besides, the bedroom camera might capture Tori naked, and I don't want to give Wes and Vic any reason to daydream. Tori showered again and went straight to bed. While she showered, I took the bedroom camera. It took about 5 minutes to get the rest of the cameras together. What an asshole I was. The whole thing was a setup. After we left for dinner, Officers Unger and Stearns entered through the back door. They entered the access code to satisfy the security system. A few more keystrokes and the system shut down. Wes stepped out into the backyard and the lights dimmed. The cameras that lit the house with flashlights only recorded them in random order, so the house looked like it had been broken into. What the fuck was this? They had only been in the house for about 10 minutes. Next, the heroic officers cordoned off our house, and we sat outside and waited. As I watched the other videos, I felt like pulling out my gun. After Wes left with Tori and Vic took me to the garage, Tori let Wes fuck her. Then the officers switched places. She serviced Vic the same way. No wonder the slut felt dirty after the break-in. Revenge had to go the whole way. I'm not going to spend time behind bars, but I think I can put these 3 behind bars for a while. My first stop was the FBI. Although they were interested in the case, it was out of their jurisdiction. But they set up a meeting with the state attorney general. Things quickly fell into place. Unaware of the extent of corruption in the local police department, deputies from other jurisdictions were brought in exclusively to take out the criminals. The state attorney general planned to make this a media event because he had political ambitions. For the 1st of April, Tori and I planned a nice dinner. For the past 3 weeks, I've been making one excuse after another not to go anywhere. It was almost certain that crooks would attack and rob us. As expected, we were broken into again. After 5 minutes of questioning Wes, I excused myself to answer a message. I actually set off the electronic fireworks launch system. Today's legal exploding fireworks are pretty primitive unless you're expecting them. Plus, if you put them in empty soup cans, the sound is amplified and can scare you to death. Who would have thought an app could explode fireworks? This wasn't a bang silence bang show. No, I hid over 50 loud single shots under the bed, in the linen closet, in the bedroom closet, and in the hall closet. I even hid a few in the garage. Secured in soup cans, they posed no fire threat. As soon as the first few caught fire, old Dudley Do-Right jumped off the hood of my car and immediately drew his firearm. "Get down!" He yelled to me as Wes contemplated whether or not to go in the house. He yelled into his radio about the active shooter situation. He didn't realize that several members of the sheriff's department and a representative from the state attorney general's office were already waiting outside. When Wes decided to go out into the backyard, he was met by a spotlight and ordered to get off the sidewalk. Opening the garage door revealed several officers with guns at the ready. Raising his hands above his head, the captain called them off. Just then, a naked Vic popped out of the front door. He was dragging his pants behind him and waving his pistol. As the loudspeaker and spotlight crashed down on him, he realized the show was over. A bewildered Wes was slowly led out of the backyard, handcuffed behind his back. The commander allowed the camera crew to turn on the lights and cameras to capture the whole thing for the audience. At the signal of the mouthpiece, Tori, dressed only in a blanket, joined the boys lying face down on the lawn. I shouted toward the trio, "April Fools!" This caused everyone gathered to giggle. For the next hour, you could hear them quip, "April Fools." Epilogue. This was a great story for television news. Sex, cheating, police corruption, and bombings. Nothing like doing a few interviews to attract available members of the opposite sex. I'd survive just fine. Every time Tori called, she'd get worried. All I could say was, "April Fools." Tori took the stand as a witness in the plea negotiations. She testified that it all started with a traffic stop. Wes suggested that she could have avoided justice by having a little affair. Although she knew I was present during the interrogation, Tori wouldn't make eye contact with me. Yes, she knew it was wrong. No, she didn't know why she had decided to go that route. A week later, she said, Vic stopped her. After another quickie sex session, she absconded again. After these encounters, Tori was regularly stopped by one and the other. These encounters were not random, as the trio were now texting each other. They decided it would be hilarious to bring me out into the open. Sensing that I didn't understand anything, they took turns having a Tori while the other wrote down my statement. 2 years and 100 hours of community service for Tori, and the loss of her marriage. 5 years for Wes and Vic, their careers and marriages gone. The city settled my lawsuit out of court. A non-disclosure agreement prevents me from disclosing the terms. Nevertheless, I drive my new $70,000 truck to my $1 million lakeside mansion. I have no debt. My new security system uses fingerprint technology to activate and deactivate. The girl I'm dating now works as a sheriff's deputy. Her uniform suits her very well. She stops me at night in our bedroom. The fantasy works.